And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Strategic Command, World War I, the Call to Arms campaign as the Central Powers. In many ways, I would say we have the Russians on the run. We have in some places been able to get into position to deny continued advances eastward. So we're gonna not making the mad dash to Moscow or Smolensk, but that doesn't necessarily save their troops that are otherwise very exposed. Okay. Yeah, we got a big batch of troops over there. Before we do any more of the Eastern Front, let's... I'm probably better off retreating into the town for the moment. Oh, 1 to 2 is probably worth taking. And that is a battle cruiser. Battle cruisers are pretty susceptible to submarine attacks. Okay, we're low on supply. It's time to try to go back to port. You're a pretty good supply. And then you need to go get resupplied because you've been doing quite a bit of fighting. Hit the Dreadnought with bombs. Come out and try to send to the bottom. Yeah, we're probably not sending to the bottom. Oh, actually, never mind. The destroyer's going to come in off the sidelines and finish it. Russian Dreadnought at the bottom. Good day for the Ottoman troops. You need to come back and resupply. Okay. We need to pull back because of supply issues. I'm gonna have to push some sort of HQ down there to get that working. Okay. So we're making progress down here. We did some damage to the battle cruiser. So let's do the push into Greece. You've got 3 shells. Go ahead and de-entrench 3rd Corps. See if it even survives the artillery bombardment at this rate. Oh, it doesn't even survive the artillery bombardment. Okay, hand the peninsula over. And cover the troops before we start the march. You can get pretty far down there if we need to do down there. No luck. Not quite enough to force the pass. Okay. Not quite where I want the artillery, but it's as close as I can get it. Oh, you can only move 1x. Because we've already shot this turn, yeah, that makes sense. Bit expensive doing amphibious transport with that. I'm gonna maybe try to come around behind the Greek forces. We'll see how they're positioned. And then you're not entrenched. Slam a shell into you. Then attack. Okay, and I'm gonna fall up to that. Okay, the plane here needs to recover. Let's swap those guys. It's not really the guy I want there, but he's the guy that will work there. Get entrenched. Get you entrenched. As as tempting as it is to take the 1 to 3. Let's get 1 to 5. Take the 1 to 2. We're going to see if we get a 3. Oh, because of the bombardment, we got none. Okay. Can you entrench? You can entrench. Perfect. You want to heal in place? Faster attempt not to take. Oh, 1 to 6. Even better. Well, unless the subs have come out, the subs are in those ports. Okay. Swap those units. That allows us to upgrade you. Slam the rail cannon to that position. You need to recover. And now that you're recovered, we don't need to have you grounded. So put you back to auto. Recover you. Tempting, but I'm going to resist the urge. Although apparently I don't resist the urge to accidentally click on Paris. Paris could be a bit loud. It's Paris. Okay, so that's the Western Front. A bit static, but that's what we get for having only one real artillery piece there. Do some airship reconnaissance. Don't see anything. Okay, so we'll do upgrades first. You're ready for outbound. We hit the other guy's sub. Okay. Although that does open up an opportunity. That means we know where the sub is. And that is a place close enough that I don't mind risking the destroyers to try to take a sub out. Okay. Entente sub sent to the bottom. Okay, you're an outbound sub. You want to raid the Russian line. No, I'll have one of the later ones come out to the Russian line. You're going to run towards the UK lines. You're coming home. You're coming home, but you don't need to come directly home. Because you have 3 supply. Go sit on the line there. Then we'll go silently run through the blockade. Okay. And then repairs. We want to repair the Dreadnought, the battleship, the Dreadnought. Here we go. And I do want to replace that detachment. Just, you know, repairing what we got on the map is a little bit more important than replacing what's not on the map. Okay. So we've done the Western Front, we've done the North, the South Sea. So we just got the Eastern Front. Where I've partially done the Eastern Front, let's be fair. Get rid of the guys that are entrenched on the road if we can. 4 shells, 4 shells. Less worried about the guy that's in the swamp. That's probably not the smartest of plans. Slipping in behind. Although actually maybe... No, I'm gonna resist the urge to try to just cut their supply lines. Although, kill confirming, I'm not gonna resist. Which I suppose that does also cut the supply lines. Here we go, as we push towards Odessa, Kiev. We're holding an eastern detachment zone here. So we can try to get sort of swing that way. Want to hit those guys or want to hit those guys? Let's get these guys unstuck so we can swing these guys up a bit. Yeah, the Russian situation's coming a little dire here. Here, if we can cut off the line east of Riga, they'll start having supply issues in here, but... Here they got the port, so it's going to be hard to get good suppression that way. Honestly, at this point, I think the richest of our nations is not, in fact, Germany. Although this is because Germany is repairing its boats. The boats are repaired, so the costs are going to only drop. So Germany could research if they had the MPP, they don't. Austria-Hungary did complete some stuff, so it could start some researches up. Production's a little bit tempting. Let's grab another production. These are 60 that we could spend. Let's get the advanced subs for Austro-Hungarians. And obviously that means we can't invest in any more in research. The Ottomans could. In fact, we can put the last one into production tech. So now we're into purchasing. Do we want to purchase anything? Probably the HQ here. I'll actually take the maritime bomber. I don't think the Russians are going to get another dreadnought anytime soon. But having a maritime bomber, we can go recon the Black Sea with, so we can be fair, so we can seal this back to actually do stuff in the west, in the Adriatic, so we can hunt down a couple subs over there. Okay, the campaign is faring well. Let's cycle the turn. Let's see what the Allies have in store for us. Russian national morale is below 25%. Decision! Chief of the General Staff, the Bolsheviks in Finland are gaining in strength and threatening to overthrow the forces of law and order, led by General Mannerheim. The Major General von der Goltz therefore proposes to lead an expedition to Finland to assist Mannerheim's forces in battle against the Reds, but sending it will cost us 75 MPPs. With Mannerheim securely in control of Finland, we would then be able to commence trading with that country. Therefore, the economic benefit in the long run could outweigh the initial cost of the expedition. Would you like to authorize von der Goltz expedition to Finland? So if we send them, swiftly resulted in the capture of Helsinki, driving out the revolutionary forces. The Germans then remained in Finland until the war ended. Without German intervention, it's likely the Weds would have struggled to overthrow the Finnish Bolsheviks, so the history of the country in the 20th century could be radically different. We're going to say yes, which will set up a trade route, and we can spare 75 MPP for an extra trade route, which over so many turns will probably benefit us. Latvian Rifle Detachment mobilized to defend Riga. The blockade continues. Germany develops mobility level 1. Of course, to get really use out of that, I'm going to have to upgrade guys with mobility, which will take time. Germany develops spying intelligence level 2. Germany develops production level 3. Command and control up to 70%. Industry level 3 for Austria-Hungary. Trench warfare level 4 for the Ottomans. 580 MPP even after sending the expedition to Finland. 424 as Austria-Hungary. 239 as the Ottoman Empire. Contact. It's a very vulnerable cruiser. Interceptors. Ottoman Empire loses 2 MPP. And the supply situation still stays there, probably. Lots of Allied bombardment. And we can see it's the French doing it on the Italian line. the damage ships move away. I think we're in the place where the portion of the turn when the AI starts to repair and stabilize the lines after doing whatever attacks it's doing. Cool. Nope, there's still some attacks coming in. Third Corps suffers attrition losses. I told the Third Corps that having bad times attrition, is it? This is the Greek one last turn. Central Powers disrupt Indian, Libyan, Egyptian, and UK convoys. Taunt naval units north of Scotland blockade imports to Germany. Taunt naval units blockade imports north of Germany, North Sea. Okay. Which I suppose is also north of Germany. Yeah. Baghdad damage from bombarding. And that's us raiding. Much more successful raiding turn. Like cruiser. Some intelligence reports. Rhodes is in fact garrisoned. You're down to 5 supply. So we probably want you to be within a dash range of port. Oop. The light cruiser we almost sent to the bottom. Ah, ran the port. Shame. You do need to make it to port. Resupply you. Ooh. Ah, no dice. Yeah, not quite enough to get rid of them. Get those guys' morale back up from being in friendly territory for a bit. Okay. I don't think we got anything over here that's going to be... 1-to-1's almost worth it. Although it's 1-to-1 versus attachment, which is what's making it not worth it. Okay, quick reinforce on the damage units. All good besides that. Okay. I want to send you westward, so we can go scout the Adriatic. Or the subs. That gets that artillery piece in range. Okay, that's where they put the HQ. They do have a sub in the port. Yeah, at this point I'm probably better off leaving the rest of this to the Bulgarians and the Austro-Hungarians, with the exception of the German artillery piece. Although we got a bunch of upgrades here to do as well. Can we do these upgrades? One of them. Oh, your mobility upgrade. Yeah, we probably want that. This is going to be one of the units that's going to be in location that's probably going to want speed. Same thing on the Bulgarians. And that doesn't... Oh no, I can do it on the Bulgarians as well. Okay. And we're looking at HQs, of course. Why... We got the supply. Surprised I can do it on one but not the other. Although, I didn't see how expensive it was on the other one, so it might just be too expensive. Can't resist the 2v5. Yeah, take the 1v3. We'll swap you in. Yeah, if I can, I want to try to get the mounted troops to be fighting up the mountains. So they get a +1/+1 attack and defend if they're in mountains. And obviously, where this area in here is in fact not mountains, so I need to keep them sort of here. So if we can, we want to keep that line, that portion of the line to be, you know, infantry. Sort of swing the mountaineers around to swap out the guys up there. Oh, the Germans are out of reinforcement points. Eight's probably safe enough. That probably also means I should be a little bit careful with where I attack. I've been doing too much upgrading and stuff. Okay, let's ground you. I don't want you to get hit anymore. For the turn, at least. Then we got a bunch of shells, so let's dump some shells into this target. Not necessarily because we're going to follow it up with an attack, because we can. Otherwise we're going to waste them. Waste the replacements. I'm not going to take the Hex. They can go reoccupy that Hex if they want it. Prep the subs or send the subs out. Just gonna send the subs out. We've got somebody coming in. I just need to keep the slipways open at this point. This one's so hard to supply, it's limping in. Okay, we're gonna put you on stealth mode so you can run the blockade, hopefully. Unless it hits a destroyer in the way, it'll make it through. It did successfully make it through. You're down to 3 supply. Come down the way. So we see there's a sub there. That isn't super concerning. Okay. Be fair, we're already raiding that line, but raiding it twice is not going to be too bad. It's tempting to gamble with the Port Strike. It's only like a 20% chance, so it's probably not worth taking. Okay. So, Greece front has been dealt with, the Ottoman fronts have been dealt with, the Western front has been dealt with as much as I'm willing to do. Boats have been dealt with, subs have been dealt with. And then we get the Eastern front here. Oops. Contact. Getting pretty mauled there. That was maybe a mistake to be quite so aggressive. There we go. With the Austro-Hungarians, I'm willing to take a one-to-one trade. Not because that's a good trade, but because I think we can handle that level of attrition. Okay. We definitely need that portion of the line to handle the rail support for pushing farther. So we reconned it. Is entrenched. Entrenchment 6. We got 6 shells, so dump all 6 shells into the target. Watch that readiness and morale melt away. Yeah, I can imagine Russian morale is not doing the hottest right now. 21%, they're below 10,000. So if they had a Paris to take, and they don't really have a Paris for us to take in our current situation, we could potentially get them to surrender. Most of the objectives we can take, I think at this point, are worth like 1,000 each. So I think Riga's probably worth 1,000. I think Kiev's worth 1,000. That might be worth 2,000. I'm not sure which ones are the 2,000s. Death is probably 1,000. Although, that means that's like 2% what's left. That's like 2% what's left. That's like 2% of what's left. They're not going to be able to handle that level of attrition. Just losing those back and forth for very long either. Okay, so the Austro-Hungarians are the richest of the factions at the moment. Do they have any research they're missing? So the Germans can't do anything because they're out of blah. They got 120 they can spend. No. We will take the production. Yeah, that leaves with 45 they can spend. Let's get their fighters a bit better. Let's pick up the fighter development. Can they get any fighters? Or have I deployed all of theirs? Yeah, all the fighters are deployed, all the recon bombers are deployed. Naval bomber is deployed. Can't quite afford an HQ for them. Had I not gone for the fighters, I could have picked up the HQ. Probably would have done. Yeah, we definitely have stuff coming up, right? And a couple of detachments as the Germans coming up. What's left of the Bulgarians are actually fairly delayed. And then we have a bunch of new planes. October, we get our torpedo boat. Is that an airship or a fighter? It's the elements. Fighter. They're getting their fighter. Okay. Could get another artillery piece as the Ottomans, which maybe is what I should save it for. Okay, so I think we're in a good place to cycle the turn, and we'll see how things go. Because of the naval repairing stuff we've gone through, we went through the German MPP real fast. But we're making progress. We're making progress on multiple fronts. Norway complains about taunt attacks on their merchantmen. Kiev, Olkichenia mobilized. Okay, so they deployed a unit in. Well, they had an event spawned at garrison to Kiev. We hit with rough seas, and they still got the blockade going on. German action on the northern blockade line interrupts flow of... Whoops. I'm interrupting my own supplies, yeah. Almost there with the infantry weapons as the Austro-Hungarians. We do get the logistics of the Austro-Hungarians. Austro-Hungarians have logistics level 1. Von Hindenburg replaces von Falkenheim as Chief of Staff. Oh, interesting. That's some exposed artillery. Ottoman's losing some more MPP. Not a real big problem. Nothing particularly concerning. A little bit worried about losing that detachment, and that detachment would be hard to get back down there. Otherwise, everything seems to be going fine. Of course, with the Mesopotamian front, that's kind of mutually assured thing for everyone there. It's, if you lose anything, it's going to be a long time before it gets back. Socialist agitation lowers Russian determination to continue the war. Central powers disrupting the Libyan Italy and the Egyptian UK convoy. Not a lot of successful raiding this turn. And we're interdicting our own situation. French national morale drops below 50%. So the plan, my grand plan for this campaign is to get the Russians and the French to surrender. And yeah, we didn't do a lot of raiding damage. We only did 32 points. Although we do have the French national morale over 50. So that's a dreadnought. Okay. Chief of the General Staff, following Erich von Falkenhayn's dismissal from his position as Chief of the General Staff, he has requested a command in the field. Providing the necessary logistical support will cost 200 MPPs at 50 MPPs per turn for 4 turns. Would you like to provide him with his field command, or shall we let him retire into obscurity? If you have needed another HQ, then it is advised to say yes. Under his replacement as the Chief of General Staff by Hindenburg, von Falkenhayn was to serve as distinction in the Balkans and the Middle East. Von Falkenhayn's 9th Army was to capture Bucharest towards the end of 1916, and the following year he was to see service in the Ottoman Army in Syria. Which is, in fact, probably what we're going to do with him. We're probably going to send him off to Syria. We needed a commander for Syria. A couple detachments. I think we're going to deploy these detachments in preparation for our victory. So they're going to go to Poland. Bulgarian Cavalry Corps. Yeah, looking at the time, we're kind of up on the hour, so it's probably the point to put the place to put the part break in. And yeah, we're making progress. Where's the... Can we get the tool to come up with the Russians? 20%! Just over 9,100 national morale. So yeah, they're coming down. That means, in theory, I'm pretty sure all the national morale objectives for Russia that aren't special and worth more than 1,000 are worth 1,000. So that's either like 1,000 or 2,000. That's 1,000 or 2,000. That's 1,000 or 2,000. That's 1,000 or 2,000. I think the capitals are actually 2,000, but to be fair, if we're on one capital, then we're just going to the other capital in the game, and end them at this point. So, and then, I believe before production tech, the national morale value of a unit that you destroy is the value of the unit. I'm not sure if production tech actually lowers the national morale cost of losing a unit. Might. And yeah. We've got a decent amount of funding, so we can probably do the proper reinforcements down here. And we'll get back on the raiding lines. So that's probably what's going to come up over the next couple turns. And yeah, the French are below 50%. So one of the events they can get when they fall below 50% is that they can spend, I think it's 50 MPP per turn, to gain 50 national morale a turn. It is possible the French did that, and that's why they're over 50% here. Even though the game says they're below 50%. They get offered that at 50%, they get offered that again at 25% if they didn't accept it at 50%. And the AM might be hard-coded to always accept. So yeah, the French are halfway there. I know Paris is worth 10,000. So we're going to need to take more than Paris, which is believable because we're probably going to take this stuff along the way. So we're probably going to... Probably when we really get going, we're going to take Belfort, we're going to take Nancy, we're going to take Paris, and we're going to see how much we have to blow the French up to get there, and if the French are ready to surrender at that point. Yep, so the run is moving. Again, this is where I'm going to put the part break in, so if you're watching on YouTube, there will be part up tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, I'm going to take a quick stretch, and then we'll be right back to it. I'm going to try to get the ad out of the way so we don't have it playing for at least a little while we're in the next part. So until the next part, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.